and welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distant but technically connected. We are excited to be able to engage with you each and every Friday, where we talk about industry challenges, design situations that you might be encountering, and most importantly, just being able to talk to you. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco, and I'm one of your hosts of today's broadcast.
And I'm Paul Hugenboom. I'm the other host, I guess, and I am the president of Tremco Construction Products Group, Marcy. Fine global collection of brands, systems, products, facilities, and of course, most importantly, people.
People, yes, absolutely. So as always, we are so appreciative to be able to be up here and represent so many different people that we get to work with on a regular basis.
Yeah, about 6,000.
That's a lot of people.
And then of course, everybody else, and the contractors.
Yes, absolutely.
Architects, engineers, consultants, design professionals.
Absolutely.
Owners, GCs.
And it's great that we bring that up, because this program is all about you. What you want to know and learn about, what's important to you, whether you are our industry colleague or you're our coworker. We have been very appreciative on the feedback we've gotten so far. I know a lot of you are pretty excited about the content we share regularly, but we are going to poll you right now with a question on what you would like to hear more about. Take these polling questions seriously. I love to find out what you guys are thinking about. So we've got a couple questions up there for you today. So where do you feel that there needs to be more focus from an educational perspective? Is it related to connectivity? When I say connectivity, we could do segments on the roof to wall connection, the window to wall connection, bring in some subject matter experts. Is it about performance-based testing? Do you want to know more about testing, whether it's about certain product lines or that whole building? Is it installation practices? Are you curious as to how things are installed and what those limitations are? What about multilingual content? And then technology comparisons. So it might be hard for you to choose just one here. So I should have gave you the option to choose all, but I guess at this point, make sure that there's an interest level in these for sure. Always learning, right, Paul? And if there's an other, please put that in the chat box or reach out to me directly, because we really want this to be informative, informational for you and top of mind.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, Marcy, is you were just mentioning before we got started that you're already planning out March, April. So, in theory, people think we can, of course, present anything we want. We're chairing this.
Yes.
And you and I already have such a long list. There's stuff we love we're not even going to get to until April.
Exactly. Yes. So that's going to help us with priorities.
Yeah.
It's going to help us line up guests. There's lots of interest in participation and participating with us here today. So we definitely want to hear from you. At this point, I believe we're sharing, or will be sharing, the answers to that. There you go. So our focus here, it looks like the winner is technology comparisons, which is good news, because in the month of March, we're looking at what I'm calling versus. So that whole in like a lion or out like a lamb, or reverse.
The lion versus the lamb.
The lion versus the lamb. So we're going to take a look at different types of technologies. So I'm glad we're going to cover that. And then connectivity. I want to do a whole series and bring in different subject matter experts where we talk about those connections. So that roof to wall connection, the window to wall connection. And we polled our audience a few weeks ago and asked them what they felt was the most difficult connection. And I think on that day, everyone that answers said the roof to wall. Yeah. So we'll start with that one.
Yeah, I often believe, I don't know, we can argue which one's most difficult. I just believe that's the one that fails the most.
Well, I believe our guest that day, I think it was Chris Johnson, or was it, I know, I can't remember, but I believe that where the thought process came with that was about two different trades potentially, where there's different trades, and that level of coordination that has to occur. So we're definitely going to do that. In January, we're going to talk about all that's new with Tremco. So we'll give you like your New Year's resolutions. We'll let you know what's new.
Are we going to have any New Year's resolutions, Marcy?
Well, that might come in our New Year's. We're going to do two special segments as well, since 2 Fridays will occur that we're all off. So we have a Christmas, a holiday broadcast that we're working on, and then also a New Year's broadcast that we're working on that'll come to you through social media, obviously not live. So And then in February, we're going to focus on education. So another reason why I really wanted to understand where those needs lie, so we can definitely be there for you. This forum with Paul and I, we take it very seriously, and not everyone has the ability to speak to the camera like we do on a regular basis, or even wants to. So we can be your voice throughout this as well. So that's definitely something we want to look at. So as always, we've got some slides and some information to share with all of you. Our topic again in the month of December is all about cold weather or inclement installations. We don't want to leave out our friends that are warm. Joanna Carbone sent me a nice video of the palm trees behind her today. So I did not make another snow angel and send it back to her, but she knows what weather we have here in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, you get those palm trees in your as backgrounds in some of these videos, and you're thinking of making a sharp remark, and then you're thinking, no, I'd like to visit you.
I know, yes, I want to come see you. Yeah, I think Daryl Lane, one of our reps down in Florida, likes to send me a picture that, you know, ooh, it got a little chilly, had to close the door today or something.
Yes,
like that.
I heard it was like going to be 50 degrees today in Florida.
Wow, so they're bringing out the North Face jackets today. Yeah. Well, so as we've been talking to everybody in the month of December, we kicked it off with insulated concrete forms. Our guest that we had, Grant Morgan, really was great to have him on and talk to us about how he overcomes the cold and many other challenges that he has seen from a construction perspective utilizing insulated concrete forms. Last week, we talked about Vulcum EWS on the O'Hare Airport, as well as UMass with our guest from the waterproofing company, Leonard James. And then I have a picture there below. One of my favorite pictures of a project here in Cleveland that is part of the Tri-C campus. And this was captured in every season across the bottom there. So I think it was very interesting to kind of see that progression as well throughout construction. And I love it because when the secure rock is going up, there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. And a little fact on Tri-C, I believe it's the largest community college in the country.
I did not know that. Yeah. Look at that. That's great.
It's a very, very large, very large community college.
That's great. I did not know that. Speaking of that community college, we worked on another campus. So since it is large, there's lots of campuses. This one was the Tri-C STEM project. And we have a video that we're going to share on this project.
This is the Tri-C Cuyahoga Community College STEM project. We talked with Clete Miller, the architect from WMF, and he was open to the idea of our Secure Rock 430 product. The subcontractor was Danessa out of Youngstown, and it's the first time they've worked with the product. So we've been here all along consulting and making sure that we have connections at all points. I think it makes a lot of sense to have this option in the winter. If it rains, snows in the day, they don't have to send their guys home. They can actually sit here and hang boards at a minimum, let alone, you know, if it's dry out, then they can keep moving with the sealants as well. Once they have the building enclosed, they can move indoors and start working on some of the other things. It's been a great fit and good teamwork all around, so I think we've got a good partner going forward.
I love that video.
It looks like today.
It does. Short and sweet. Wes Gilmore let me know that was not fake snow. You know, yeah. we didn't mock that up in any way. That was real job site conditions.
Fake snow like 6 months out of the year here, Marcy.
Exactly. So definitely was interesting to have that. I love that video just because it is so short and sweet, explaining that. So I reached out to Clete Miller, who was mentioned in that quick short video there. So there's a picture of Clete, and very excited to have some of his feedback on that project. So he does work for WMF, Weber Murphy Fox. He said when he was working through project details, their goal was to have a LEED silver building. They spent a lot of time doing energy modeling to come up with the permeability of a product that they were looking for, but they also knew there would be cold weather installation. Doing some research on his own, he started to look around on his own, and he found the USG website. He saw reference to Secure Export 430, and he reached out to Greg Shear, who is the USG representative. And then they worked together with Wes Gilmore, who's the Tremco rep, and they went through the whole process of training. He said they needed to make a quick decision. So these guys mobilized very quickly, got out there, explained it, talked about some of the things that were really important to Cleat and the whole project team: consistency and thickness, quality control. He said Wes was out there many times, as well as Greg. He talked about fastener detailing. Now in this project, they put up some terracotta panels, so there can be a variety of different facade anchors penetrating it. He wanted confidence that when that's up, it wasn't going to compromise the membrane.
And I've learned from you, Marcy, there's a lot going on with those anchoring systems.
Yep.
That's one of our favorite little live examples at the test wall.
It is. It's lots of fun. He's just a silly detail there. As you can see, the finished look is orange. So at every stage, it looked like it was. Is it done? Like when they put the panels up, you know that you thought it was done already, because obviously our panels are orange, and that is the finished look there. Savings on labor and time. So he said that was significant, and wasn't why they chose the product. It was an advantage that came out afterwards.
Yeah, you've got some great case studies that show often we're picking up 3 to 4 months on a schedule.
Yep, and we're going to have that individual on at some point as well. And he said it was great because that savings was able to go back to that owner of that educational system. So thank you, Cleat, so much for meeting with me this week. Thanks for that information. He is a great contact in the Cleveland area, focused on education design. So Paul, we talked about building with ICF. We talked about PUMA. That is a membrane that you can use in any climate. Securic Expert 430 is obviously pre-applied, so you're not having to face the same kind of challenges, but we've got some really unique accessories that we utilize with that system so that you can continue to work in the cold weather. We're going to now talk about roofing. And in order to do that, I was looking around doing some research, and I found this. This was given yesterday by our partners up in Canada. So Denise and Kyle with roofing did a great presentation yesterday on just that, cold applied roofing.
Which city do we have there, Marcy?
That is Vancouver.
Ah, that's beautiful.
They are going to make this presentation available in January. So if this is of interest, please reach out to me or to Denise or Kyle. And they're going to make this on demand so that you can catch it, but it was given live yesterday. So a shout out to our roofing colleagues up there for some very timely education.
Yeah, and I think our roofing group has a history in cold applied that goes back to the mid to late 1980s. And it's interesting that this topic of cold applied is just now becoming, we'll call it hot, pun intended.
Right, that's funny.
Just because the awareness of some of the difficulty with hot applied systems is getting more top of mind. And we've been getting questions about, do you do cold applied? And of course, we're like, yeah, last 30 some years.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, and I think that's what they touch on, right? In the part of this, this information is that history and where it's come to. So, and of course, last week I talked to you all about some pointers that we had about installation practices in the cold. Tremco Roofing has a great brochure that we will share with all of you as our thank you and follow-up email on this cold weather product selector guide that was put out by Roofing. So lots of great information is contained in that document. And we wanted to bring some of that content with you today, and of course, have it be presented to you, being presented to by Corey Johnston, who is our contractor support specialist. So welcome to Tremco Live, Corey. We really appreciate you coming on with us today.
First off, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on Tremco Live. I've watched all the episodes, not each of them live. I'm glad that some of them are posted on YouTube so I can catch up, especially with a busy work schedule. And we're talking about cold weather roofing. I live up in Calgary, Canada. We have no shortage of cold weather roofing up here. We do lots of cold weather roofing. Most of the systems that we've gone through, I've actually worked with most of those systems in the cold weather as well.
It's great. We figured if we're going to go cold, we're going to go to Calgary. So thank you, Corey, so much for being a part of the Tremco broadcast, our Tremco Live broadcast with us today. So tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry.
Well, I am a journeyman roofer. I've roofed for over 25 years, and now I've been working with Tremco for just about 6 years. I've done residential and all kinds of commercial roofing. As far as cold roofing goes, one thing I'd like to put out there right away is safety first. One of the best things that you can do as a contractor out there is wear proper winter work boots, winter gloves, and layers.
Absolutely. So I know you also host a contractor corner as well with some great how-tos. Tell us a little bit about that and why that came about.
Contractor Corner by Corey. Contractor Corner is all about presenting tricks of the trade, tips, ideas, even some inventions to help out the contractor in any way possible to make their life a little bit easier.
That's great. That's great. And as you mentioned, we thought we'd kick it off with talking about safety, and I'm glad you brought that up. So we definitely want to start with safety. I know there's a lot of great information that we have available on our website as it relates to different types of safety equipment. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about those cold weather preparations that you were mentioning?
Yeah, like I said earlier, wearing lots of layers, wearing winter boots as well as winter gloves, invaluable. Another thing that's quite handy is, having something warm to drink, knowing what hypothermia looks like. We get some pretty extreme cold weather up here, and just knowing that when you start seeing one of your coworkers with, severe chills, bluing, or ice cold look on their face, you want to get them to some warm area and warm them up slowly.
I know we've got some products that we're going to talk about, and so I know you're going to give us some great advice on system limitations and just things to look out for each of these. So the first one that we have listed here is the Tremlock T138.
With the Tremlock system, you're really not limited by temperature at all. I think one huge aspect to utilizing this shingling recovering system is that you're not exposing the building to the elements during cold weather. You've got a nice grippy surface to work on as well. And as far as cold weather goes, the Tremlock system, incredible system to use in the winter time. Anytime.
Anytime, exactly. And we have the next one up here. And all of this information is in the cold weather booklet that we will provide to you. So we just wanted to bring some of this stuff to you all, but we have the Burmastic built-up roofing system.
Burmastic built-up roofing. One important thing that you might want to have on the job site is a hot box or a warm room to store your materials. Keeping all of your sheets in a warm area, as well as your adhesive, your Burmastic adhesive, very helpful. We would warm up our materials out on the job site and alternate pails just to ensure that we have some nice warm material to work with. As the weather drops, products can stiffen up, and this will definitely help any contractor out there.
That's great. That's great advice. I know we've made that suggestion as well. Obviously, some of these products do stiffen up a little bit in the colder temperature, so having that hot box there will be great because it won't drop in temperature. We also know that some of the pneumatic guns can help with that as well for that stiffening up of the material. But yes, absolutely, keeping them warm, as warm as you can will definitely help. The next one here that we have listed is the Thermastic built-up roofing and hot PowerPly systems.
Doing Thermastic hot applied systems, whether it's BUR or our PowerPly modified bitumen system. There's a couple of things out in the field that you want to do. You want to stay no larger. You want to keep your mopping distance quite short in cold weather applications. Usually you're pumping your Thermastic up onto the roof from the kettle down on the ground. Insulating that pipe in the winter time is extremely helpful. You don't want that pipe freezing up on you, so keeping it packed with a fiberglass insulation, very helpful. The kettle guy on the ground has the best job in the winter time. He's always toasty warm and has a nice warm lunch usually as well.
That's true. Not the job you want in the summer, but definitely the job you want in the winter. That's great. And then we have the PowerFAST modified bitumen system.
PowerFAST system. Once again, you're not really limited by weather. We can go quite cold with the PowerFAST system because we're mechanically fastening that base sheet. And I would suggest the best thing to use for your seams is a hot air welder. On colder days, we can just adjust that hot air welder with either a higher rate of temperature, or we can slow down the speed, and we can get waterproofed to base sheet level on day one.
That's great. That's really great. And then the heat welded modified.
Oh, that's actually what I was talking about mostly, was our PowerFAST heat modified, but we do have some thermal fused systems where we are torching the cap sheet. Once again, we're not limited by cold weather there. Just keeping these, keeping your PowerPly sheets warm, cutting them to 18 feet or less, relaxing those rolls, very important in cold weather.
Great. We just got a question. You're providing a lot of these like helpful hints and helpful tips. Is there a place where they can find these, or is this something that you and I can put together post broadcast and share?
Post broadcast, we could put a list of helpful hints and tips and what to do on the job site for sure.
Perfect. We'll add that to our thank you email, because I think these are great.
Yeah, and from time to time, Corey, I've been known to ask you to do a Corey's Corner for me. So perhaps that question could be a catalyst for you to do just a special Corey's Corner that's just really all about cold.
That's true. Tips and tricks in the cold.
Yeah, so maybe that's another way you could kind of help the audience as well. And of course, you know, the audience should know they can always reach out to Corey. He's a constant source.
I know we have a few more systems to go through, but we have another question. Being that you were an installer, is there a product that you prefer to use in the cold?
I like the TherMastic, the BUR, or even the hot applied PowerFAST system. I'm kind of an old school roofer. BUR and the multiple layers of redundancy is, you know, where it's at. A very solid system, and very easy to do that work in cold weather. Being an installer or a contractor, one of the questions I was asked frequently is, you know, what do you do in the winter time? And it's a straightforward answer: we roof. Some people think that contractors will get, you know, less hours in the winter. Not necessarily true. Sometimes in the winter, I would get more hours because there's a period of time in the morning where you've got to clean up, dry up, snow removal, and then do your full day's work. So there's a lot of roofing going on in cold weather temperatures for sure.
Good. And then we have the single ply roofing.
Single ply roofing, very similar to the PowerFAST system. We're going to use a hot air welder. We're not limited by that temperature either. That hot air welder can be turned up, or the speed of the hot air welder can be turned down. Really helpful tip is do some test welds. I would typically do one in the morning and one in the afternoon as the temperature changed. You want to keep that hot air welder dialed in to the right rate.
That's great advice. I always like to say that too, like when we're applying like a liquid applied product, you know, test it in that condition to see what kind of precautions you need to take.
Yeah, because the fluids are often both temperature and humidity dependent. It's good to, you know, check in 1 or 2 times a day
Exactly.
on how you're dialing it.
Exactly. And perfect lead into the liquid applied roofing system as we talked about fluids.
Is this a PUMA product that we're dealing with here that we're talking about? I love the PUMA product. There really is no temperature window to PUMA. We can go all the way down to minus 28 degrees Celsius. Not a lot of roofers are going to be out there at minus 28 degrees Celsius.
I'm going to ask that.
Corey, what's the coldest you've ever been out in Calgary?
In Calgary, well, we used to set sort of at our temperature of minus 22 degrees Celsius. Sometimes you can add on that wind chill factor, but that was sort of the cutoff point. We would always save different tasks to do, even in those extremely cold weather days.
Okay, audience, what is that in Fahrenheit?
It says on the screen minus 28 C is minus 20 F, so we know.
Oh, okay, there you go. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, I like to tell the contractors, I know you might not be out there at that temperature, but if you had to, especially in an emergency situation, you could use PUMA for sure.
And I think, Marcy, the other thing we hear a lot is, you know, a lot of times a project has a schedule, and rarely does a schedule happen quicker. It often happens later.
Right.
And PUMA is a great system where a lot of times an alternate that when you just slide into that cold weather window, you've got a great system out there that's ready to go for you.
A great option for the cold weather. And I think Corey, you were mentioning some of like the winter grade products. I don't know if we addressed them all, but there's winter grade versions for the colder climates too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, for patch and repair materials, we have our winter grade ELS, terrific product for winter time especially. You want to keep those products warm. They stay soft and malleable longer in cold temperatures. So keeping that product warm in the truck and then bringing it out, it'll stay soft longer when it's winter time. And PUMA, of course, I mean, it's just a great material to use. We've had some other fluid applied projects that have been switched to PUMA so that we could carry on through the winter time because we lost our weather window. We've also had other projects where we've utilized PUMA for stripping details, and we could still apply those in cold weather as well.
You know, I think the other thing, Marcia, we always stress with PUMA too is you can hit those tight weather windows. So if, you know, both cold and not cold, but if you think you're only going to get a good hour or two where you can work,
right,
just because PUMA sets up so quick, you can hit those really tight windows where you just got to get something done.
Exactly. So that the fear of rain coming soon, right, or whatever.
Yeah. Or if it's
weather.
Just a horrible day,
yeah.
and you're like, if I could just get an hour, or where I could dry off the surface and get my repair done or whatever needs to be done, PUMA's a great answer for that.
And I think that's what, I mean, I love we brought to a variety of different products this month, right? Starting with insulated concrete forms, PUMA from a vehicular area, vehicular decks, or below grade waterproofing between slab, roofing applications. I mean, it just really is so versatile, and using it for that reason, right? Because of its versatility.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround time.
And again, I know I mentioned it already, but we're seeing as a best practice that a lot of systems are being configured one way for, we'll call it expected schedule, and then PUMA's being specified as an alternate, so that if the schedule slips, they can really do one or the other. I think the other thing is PUMA's become a favorite of contractors because it allows them to go into those cold weather windows.
Yeah, gives them the opportunity to work.
Yeah, where before they might not have been able to work. So it's really, contractors have become a real fan.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Corey, thank you so much for being able to share all of that with us today. We really appreciate your contractor perspective. That was great.
Yeah, and I would give a shout out to Corey, that whoever doesn't follow Corey, it's well worth it. I think Corey does two things. He himself is pretty ingenious and his own ideas and thoughts. And I also think he's a bit of a thief, so he hoovers up from all around him other people's thoughts and ideas too. So I think Corey is both himself very inventive and has really become a gatherer of these sort of practices as well from many of his friends and colleagues. And so whenever his next, what do you call it, installment comes out, I'm always an avid watcher. And they're efficient, Corey. I think usually 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Corey's a very efficient communicator, and he always is showing you, he's doing the actual application of self. So you're seeing right in front of you exactly how to do it.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, Corey and I talked about that. We can be your voice. You know, if you have ideas or things you want to learn more about, we'd love to hear it.
And the other thing with Corey too is if you want something solved and you don't know how to solve it, you can shoot that his way and say, I've always been, you know, this detail or whatever was always been a pain, either to get it right all the time or to be efficient.
Right.
And then even if Corey doesn't have an answer, he'll start to think about it. And I'm pretty sure he'll have an answer at some point.
Well, I'm part of the CSS team, so I mean, contractor support is what we're all about, and we are all connected together. And you absolutely, if I don't have an answer, I'll guarantee another CSS does, and we'll get the answer for the contractor, and you know, work them from one side of a problem to the next. As far as the episodes of Contractor Corner, today we launched one of the new episodes. It's out there. It's a trick of the trade to keep your scissors sharp on the job site. So that was just put out this morning.
That's great.
Yeah.
Off the presses. Perfect. Well, Corey, thank you again so much for being able to participate today. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, as always, for your time and attention as you wind down your week with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
So, Marcy, this is our last full episode.
Yeah.
I know we've got a treat coming for the holidays, but it's our last, we'll call it, you know, Tremco content
Of 2020.
of 2020. So we made it. I know it's been an interesting year.
It has. We're already 6 months in. We've already had our 6-month anniversary and we didn't celebrate it. So we'll have to kick off the new year and get some great content in for sure.
Yeah. So.
Very good.
So we do have. We're not going to quite wish everybody happy anything yet.
Not yet.
Because we got some. I think Marcy's got something cooked up.
I do. I have a nice little treat for you guys for the holiday and for the new year. So
All right.
we don't want to have you miss us too much. So we're going to provide some socially shared content.
Yeah, when's that coming out? Just remind everybody.
We are going to have it come out on Christmas at the same time. We're going to schedule it to be launched at that time.
Friday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, Friday at 3 o'clock to kind of keep that consistent. And then on New Year's Day, same thing.
There you
so
go.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah. So we'll share some great content. We really do appreciate and are very respectful of your time that you are here engaging with us regularly.
All right.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Be safe. We'll see you on both Christmas and New Year's.
Yes.